Alright, welcome back to another episode of the Post Patrol. This is episode 3. A lot in store today, especially with what's going on in the league right now. With what's being said, I'm Gunner the Runner, yet again.
I'm Tyler. I guess co-host at this point, something like that.
Only co-host at this point. We'll have you start up the talk on, the Boston Celtics going right now, and what you think's going, what your thought process is at the moment.
Oh, I think obviously we're on a roll right now. Very successful as of late, and after a rough start to the season with like a brand new roster, obviously it's going to take time to get used to, but we're finally developing that chemistry, and that's obviously being seen in the record lately. Um, Especially Jaylen Brown, though. I think he's been top five player in the league as of late. And for him to go on his stream and say he got snubbed to Player of the Month and then drop 50 the following game is just like,
That's fair. That's fair. He's playing at a top 5 level, I'd say. However, I still have him at the back end of the top 10 players at the moment this season, around 9 or 10 myself.
if for the season, yeah, but this last stretch, he's
Last stretch has been really, really fucking good. I agree full-heartedly with that. However, I still do not like what he's doing with our offense myself. Um, I didn't have the stats originally, but I was thinking that our offense was getting hijacked by him at times, and just from what my eyes were telling me, a couple guys in the community on TikTok I talked to, who are the stats guys, looked at the on-off numbers,
Mhm.
and they're like, "What you're seeing is not wrong." I have some on-off numbers from Jaylen Brown compared to Derek White. If I can pull them up. So when Jaylen Brown and Derek White are on the floor, they're a 121.8 offense
rating,
and
offensive rating.
offensive rating and a 113.1 defensive rating. When Derek White is on the floor without Jaylen Brown, he is a 121.9 offensive rating and a 111.3 defensive rating. Jaylen Brown by himself or without Derek White is a 122.5 offensive rating, but a 123.0 defensive rating. Um, I
So is a
just
lower defensive rating better?
Yes, lower defensive ratings are better.
Okay.
And that so they've played 716 minutes together this season. Derek White without Jaylen Brown is 281. Brown without White is 270 minutes. So
They're pretty similar.
it's a good sample size.
Yep, yep.
Um, so that's my whole thing as of right now is that what my eyes are telling me with this offense, how it's being run, is that like I we're in our motions and then all of a sudden it'll get to Brown. We have a good one or two more swings before we like for an open guy to get an open shot, and then
Mhm.
Jaylen Brown goes for his ISO. But Jaylen Brown will stop that, I mean, and go for his ISO.
Right.
And that's what I haven't been a fan of, and that's why I'm like not a fan. Also, with Jaylen Brown, it's been ridiculous shooting splits that he should not be keeping up. I will say
You mean
that.
recently?
Not just recently, this whole season. Um, I think
He's a
he's
50.
54% from the field.
It's 51% from the
Oh, it's
field,
now 51. It's
37.
dropped. Okay.
Yeah. That's 37% from three, and then 78% from the line. So I don't know. That seems pretty maintainable for him.
Well,
Let's look at his career.
I only said that because it was before, I think it was Wednesday when I checked. It was at like
Gotcha.
54, 55% from the field. And I'm like, that's not, you know, like sustainable throughout the season
Right.
from him.
Yeah, definitely
Um,
not. 54 is.
Another thing is, I love Jaylen Brown, don't get me wrong, but this is not good for the Tatum camp.
I
There,
don't like people making comparisons always and being like, "Oh, this makes Tatum look bad." It's like,
oh, I know. I'm just saying though that there, I know the Jaylen Brown camp,
mhm,
and the Jaylen Brown camp, as of right now, are saying, look at Jaylen Brown's doing. They're using this against Tatum, and they're again hitting that Jaylen Brown is better than Jason Tatum, which I wholeheartedly disagree. I don't I don't think Jaylen Brown has ever been as good as Jason Tatum, and I don't think he will be. However, this season with Brown has been really good, and I can't take that away from him.
if there's no saying like a counter argument for the Jaylen Brown camp. It's like there's no saying what the season would have looked like if Jaylen Brown was out and Tatum was playing. Like,
We could make the argument that it'd be better than Jaylen Brown's potentially because of what Tatum was doing with Brown when he was averaging 31 or 30.1 points per game
true.
with Jaylen Brown. So that's part of my whole thing is I'm not gonna like what's happening with this whole Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum stuff because people are gonna push it to break them up again or
That's
to
what they've been
try.
trying for years. Yeah.
And like people are only noticing it from like 23 because of the big media. We've known it for how long, Ty, being
A very long
in
time.
like the Boston sports market? It's been since what, 2020?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's the comparisons. It's really since Tatum's been drafted, minor
That's
comparisons, but it
true.
really
They were saying, well, if you're building around Tatum or not building, but gonna use him over
with too
Jaylen
many
Brown,
forwards,
get rid
everyone
of
was
him.
saying like,
Yeah.
right. People were saying
And
that from the get-go.
it's like,
It was especially true with Gordon Hayward here, but
well, we would have made it work. Brad Stevens
true.
at the time, great fucking coach and always knew how to make that work.
Mhm.
Um, but that's my whole thing. I will say the Celtics continue to surprise what I had predicted with them.
Yeah, first episode we were saying we wouldn't be upset if they tanked for a good draft pick, and now we're top three in the East and
Yep.
looking like potential contenders, especially in a weak Eastern Conference. Weaker than the West, I should say.
That for sure is a fact, and now it's looking like the East are just as comparable to the West in terms of the fight for the playoffs with what records are. With that being said, let's move on to OKC in their 11 game stretch.
They almost 500 through the last 11 games. I think they're what 6-5.
Something like that, yeah.
I think it's six
It's
and five in their last 11. Well, three of those are because of or yeah, three of the five losses are due to Wemby.
yep.
So Wemby,
And I think that teams are figuring out what you need to do. I was talking about this last night on TikTok Live is with a few others. All you have to do is get OKC in foul trouble. Especially their big man.
mhm.
Because iHeart last night was not in the game at all, and when he wasn't, what's good, Adam? He when he wasn't in because of foul trouble, the Suns were getting a good amount of offensive boards and getting these opportunities they shouldn't have been getting. And I think teams are, if you can play physical with OKC, you have a chance at beating
Especially
them.
with Hartenstein off the floor, because Chet is not ever going to be a physical five.
Mm-hmm. He as of right now he's not.
No,
I and just with his stature, I don't think he can be.
no.
Um, but like people were saying they should get rid of Hartenstein this year. I've been against that. I've been on they should or keep Dort and get rid of Hartenstein. I've been one of the ones saying keep Hartenstein, get rid of Dort
They get
since
rid
the
of Dort.
beginning of the
Who's going to
season.
injure all the opposing team's players, though?
With with the football player that he is, you still have Caruso. Um,
That's a good point, yeah.
but otherwise, OKC right now they're in a drought. I think they're still gonna be probably the number one seed in the West unless something drastic happens to them.
Yeah, I mean, they got off to what, a 24-1 start.
Yep, they did. Adam, if you want to come on up, you definitely can. Um, I'll add you in real quick and let you give your thoughts on it. Da-da. Oh, we're in general anyways. You can just come on in. Didn't realize that. But but yeah.
Yeah, looking at the Western Conference standings, the Thunder have a 4.5 game lead over the Spurs and a 6.5 game lead over the Lakers and the Nuggets. But with Jokic missing about a month, Nuggets are most likely to fall down the standings a good bit.
Well, it's not just Jokic as of right now. Tonight, I will say they're getting back Aaron Gordon and they're getting Christian Braun, who's the Nuggets' two best defenders, other than Peyton Watson. Because I'm standing by Peyton Watson, the X factor for the Nuggets heading into the playoffs myself.
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, right now they don't have Jokic and they don't have Valanciunas. So it's gonna be interesting what happened or what's
Well,
going
this
on.
is recent years have just been like historically a bad team without Jokic on the floor for like
Yep.
the 12 minutes he sits a game. Never mind them trying to go 48 minutes a game. Without their backup center, like it'll be rough for them. So an
Yep.
important month up ahead.
Hey Adam,
Yo, what's going on?
you want to introduce yourself to everyone?
Yeah, name's Adam. Me and Gunnar have probably, what was it, been like 6 months now since we've met on TikTok. We talk lots of basketball, usually greatest of all time lists, and then current day shit.
Yep.
So, yeah.
What are your thoughts on the Nuggets as of right now, Adam?
Um, so at the beginning of the year, I picked them to win it all, because I thought with the help of Tim Hardaway Jr., I thought them having enough shooting around Jokic could really help them space the floor and provide enough offensive weaponry for him, unlike last year in the playoffs against the Thunder. But since Jokic is out, I don't know how I feel about them with their seeding, because now I could see them drop all the way to like 6 or 7, and now they're fighting in the play-in.
I feel that, and I think this is really going to be a time the Nuggets need to try their best and show what's going on, or that they can stay a competitive team, stay around 500 for now. If they can do that, they can stay a top five team in the West.
This Jokic injury could be a blessing in disguise, though, because it gives them a full month to figure it out with him off the floor, which could benefit them later in the season when he's back.
I
Yeah,
agree. Go ahead, Adam.
I
My
also
bad.
see this kind of as a blessing because we get to see all these Murray Glazers that me and Gunnar have had to deal with over the past
Oh
couple
boy.
weeks,
It's been
saying
bad.
he's like a top 100 player, which I would love to see how he carries his team as a number one option without one of the five greatest offensive weapons we've ever seen. So
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. Another them just not having a big man is what concerns me. Um, they have a great roster though, and I think Adelman can be the coach and be a great coach with this team to make it so they're around 500 still, potentially even higher. Um, but it's definitely gonna be an interesting spurt or month without Jokic. Um, with that being said, hold on. Let me bring up the notes because I forgot a little bit. Oh, let's push some San Antonio talk with Wemby because they're looking really good with Wemby.
This is gonna be. I had this being Carter's segment here. Oh fuck it. I think Wemby might be the GOAT.
I think he has the potential to be the GOAT. I'm not gonna lie.
I just don't. His career probably won't. Realistically, his career won't last long enough to be the GOAT. Like,
I think this is going to be a very interesting playoffs. Whoever matches up with them. If it's the Thunder and they meet them in the conference semis, I'm not going to lie. I don't trust the Thunder shooting for a 7-game series. They
I don't
might
either.
lose to the San Antonio team.
I think it'll go the distance, but I think San Antonio they're kind of hungry this year. I'm not gonna change my pick from the Nuggets, but I think this year's playoffs, especially in the West, all depends on matchups and who they
yeah,
face. Cause I'm with the Wemby stuff. I mean, we've been saying he's the French god as of right now. Um, but I think people are also seeing Stefan Castle flourish with De'Aaron Fox as a mentor. I mean, Stefan Castle's been great out in transition this year. He's been figuring out the playmaking. He's had some high turnover games, but I don't care. He's looking great, and I wouldn't have expected this jump from him to be this soft type of sophomore.
Uh, yeah, and I think the only thing I'm a little concerned about is outside of Harrison Barnes, there's really no one that's had playoff experience.
That's the
That would
only
be my
thing.
only. That'd just be my thing going into the postseason. They have the talent. I just it's gonna be kind of like how we see it, how it goes, sort of how they feel in the playoffs.
I agree with that. I I do think that Devin Vassell's probably getting traded this year. Um, I don't know what I think they go out and they try and get another floor space or get a floor spacer because the spacing right now for San Antonio is a little bit iffy. Um, I mean, when Julian Champagne's really one of your best spacers, it's a little rough. I mean, can't forget about Mr. 100% though with Harrison Barnes.
he's been in the league for it feels like 30 years, bro.
He really has.
Yeah, I'm sorry if someone brings up one more time about Harrison Barnes being an X factor. I am sorry, you guys are crazy. Outside of playoff experience, I don't trust him.
I don't think you
Yeah.
can trust him in the playoffs. He's
Well, I
shown
mean, there's
time and
times.
time again.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and then I want to talk about one final team, um, and it's the Pistons. The Pistons are very interesting this year. They aren't a great spacing team. Duncan Robinson's really your only floor spacer from three, which is wild. And the they're the number one rated defense this year, right? One or
Find
two.
out. I can look it up.
They're one or two. I'm pretty positive on that. Um, and Duran and Cade are this fantastic 1-2 punch together. Cade's making up, I think it's around 48 of of the team's points, just off of points and assists.
Mhm.
I've been on the Cade train since this off season because I think Cade's getting a lot of shit. I think people are forgetting that Cade, or aren't forgetting, but that about Cade, but Cade being are saying that he's down because of the inefficiency of his scoring and that he's a below average finisher at the rim. I've disagreed with that wholeheartedly. Well, not that he's a below league average, but the inefficiencies, I disagreed that they mattered. Um, because Jason Kidd at one point was a top 3 player in the league and no one cared about his inefficient scoring.
Um, yeah, so this team, so top 10 offense, top 5 defense,
Yeah, number
number
two
2.
defense. Yep.
Yeah, number 2. Um, I just think that the shooting is going to be a problem for them, but they're playing in the Eastern Conference, so I mean, they very well could get to the finals. So, like, by no means can this team not make a deep playoff run.
Oh, by far. The East
I think
is wide open.
they may adapt well to playoff basketball too, with like the physicality, like
They
with
Yeah,
Duran, Azur Thompson, just Isaiah Stewart. The amount of physicality on that team is could bode well for playoffs.
Oh, for sure. Especially in the playoffs, teams get away with more physicality usually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we can see that translate. Um, I don't, and Cade doesn't seem to need to take this offensive load like he did last year in the playoffs because the team itself now already has last year as a little bit of playoff experience. Sure, still not as much playoff experience as you'd like, but we just saw the OKC Thunder win with little to no playoff experience.
True.
So that's another team that's in looking very interesting this year. Um, with that being said, let's get into the historical side of our our talk. Um, I have to pull it up, but I have to pull up our list, but I'll do that right now. I have to re-add it because I messed it up. That's my list. Hold on. All right. Get this off my scoops. Yep, there. I have to re-add in the names we had. So give me a second. If I can find it. Alright. So we went 11 with Wilt, right? Yeah. I'll fix it after. I'll fix fonts later. 12, we went Hakeem.
I'm good with that. Um, I think
Adam,
he's.
you are the decision maker here since our third
I I
co-host was not here.
Did we have a couple others we needed a vote on? Do you
I
remember those?
I have yes, I have them.
Okay,
So
perfect.
13 and 14, we needed a tiebreaker on Jokic and Jerry West.
ooh. I am going to go with Jokic. Unfortunately, I love Jerry. I just think when we start getting into this top 15, we're gonna have to start splicing hairs, and unfortunately, I think already with 3 MVPs and possibly if he hadn't gotten hurt, he could have won a fourth one this year.
Right. Could have been a fourth last year, we'll say that.
Yeah, so like he legitimately could have won 4 MVPs in the last 5 years.
Yep. And then so 14 we'll have West. All right. Adam, you got the tiebreaker on 3 players here from 15 to 17. We have Kevin Durant, Oscar Robertson, and John Havlicek.
Uh, I'm gonna go with Durant, and then probably Oscar, and then John Hondo.
Durant. Oops. 16. Oscar. And 17. Havlicek. Alright. At 18, we had Giannis. And 19, we had Moses. And 20, we had Dirk. Ty, last time I think I was the first to bring up a name. Who do you want to bring up for 21?
I'm a biased guy on this because I like this old timer, but I think Bob Pettit should be brought up.
I think that's totally fair. Ty, what about you? Oh,
Mm. I don't know. Let me think. How about how much are we taking into consideration outside of NBA life?
um, outside of
Mm.
NBA life, like just like
Like if you did something heinous and everyone hates you.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
I'm low on that guy, but it's not for those reasons.
I can understand what who he's gonna bring up. So
I understand it too. I'm low on. I don't have him in my top 20 for myself, but it's for basketball reasons.
I'll
Um,
just I'll say it, Karl Malone. Why
yeah,
not?
just say his name. He won't appear.
Should not be
You're not
named.
13. Um,
Right. Looking over my shoulder.
uh, I'm going with Adam here on Pettit myself. Um,
um, I will say this about um, Malone.
he's the
In
Malone and
fairness,
Stockton expert.
yeah, in fairness to Karl Malone, the only reason I'm not putting him above Pettit is the playoff rises that Pettit has. That includes the 58 finals. But if you want to give me the longevity argument, I really don't have a case because Karl Malone has pretty damn great longevity. Basically,
Yeah.
he's a All NBA first team all the way up till from 80 is it 88 to 99.
Yep. It's 88 to 90. No, I thought it was 2000.
No, I
Or
think he made
first teams?
second
You
team.
mean first
I
team?
think he
Yeah.
made yeah
He made
he made
second
second team.
team 2000, third team 2001.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong on that. My next guy, I was gonna bring up is Mikan. I'm pushing this George Mikan stuff. George Mikan to me, I mean, his nickname's Mr. Basketball for a reason. there would be no the impact that he had on the game. For one, the 5 titles. He's clearly the best player in the league for the whole time he was there, basically, other than 1 year, which is the broken leg. Um, but I think the 5 titles and that just is very impressive, especially since it's 5 straight. Um, and there are what 20 teams in the league at the time until they all go bankrupt and dwindle down shortly. Something like that.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not
I'm
the
gonna
expert
lean on
that.
your expertise.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've been talking Mike, and I'm pretty. Hold on, I'll look it up real quick.
Because even like I don't go that far back, and that's
Yeah,
like
give it a
I think
go.
I have him somewhere in the 30s. But
Am I right seeing that Mikan played 7 years in his career?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
The thing is though is that there were 2 leagues at the time that were separated, BAA and the NBL. Historically, in the 40s, they merged in 1950. BAA's a totally different, like, they didn't really go through that stuff, but there's a good amount of teams in the league, and he's just so dominant um, that teams. This is why African Americans get introduced or put into the league and drafted is because of Mikan, because they thought the athleticism would help stop and slow down Mikan. But I myself am high on Mikan just because of that stuff. There's a lot of research that you do on Mikan, and there's not a lot of film at all on him.
Fun fact. The only reason I made my 6th grade basketball team is because I did really well at the Mikan drill.
W. That's a
So I'll
fucking
have,
W.
so I like him at 22 for that reason alone.
that's fine with me. I can't argue with his importance in basketball.
Oh yeah, there would be no Steph Curry without George Mikan because the ABA.
There would be no Lou Alcindor without George Mikan.
That's true. Adam, who do you have for 23?
This is where it gets really nitty gritty. I think you could go with a couple nominees. Personally, I have Kevin Garnett, probably my next guy on my list.
All right. Ty?
Yeah, I was thinking of Kevin Garnett at the, 21 as well, so I like him here.
I agree. I myself have KG and Dirk in that 20 range on my own list. I have Dirk 22nd and KG 23rd myself. So I think what KG is on the floors has greatness. The issue with KG is the playoff drops early on in his career and later after the 09 injury. So I'm with that 100%. Uh, 24 Ty.
I'm gonna say Karl Malone again.
Okay.
I can get with it. I think there's one guy. I think peak wise, I think was a little bit better. I think there's an argument for Dirk, but if you want,
We
if you want to go
already
with
have
Carl, that's
Dirk.
fine with
We
me.
already have
Oh, you already
Dirk.
have Dirk? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
we
let's
have
go
Dirk
with Carl
20th, Adam.
then. Okay, yeah, no, right. Yeah, we'll go with Carl then.
I was gonna push for him lower.
Make your case.
Adam already knows what I'm gonna say. It's the typical, the playoff drops in the 90s. I'm not moved by a guy who, him and his team as a whole is only scoring 54 points in the finals. I think Malone's also overrated just because of what that offense is. That offense is literally John Stockton holding the ball for 14 seconds and then either running a pick and roll with Carl or it's an entry pass in the post for Carl. My eyes don't like it. He's not a great defender until his later years when he's winning his MVPs, and 99 is one of the worst MVPs of all time in my opinion. I'm not saying it's the worst, but it's one of the worst MVPs. It should have been Mourning or it should have been Shaq. So, that's my whole thing with Malone. I used to be high on Malone, but after my research 2 years ago, I've been low on him.
Fair enough.
But I'm fine to have him here, even though I have him 36th all time.
Yeah, that's fine. I would like to drop him, but unfortunately, I can't just do it. It's too. I can't ignore basically the 11 straight All NBA first teams in a.
Yeah,
like him
but
him going head to head with Barkley.
I'm a peak guy though, and Barkley's peak is just so much higher in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that's the next guy on the list.
I disagree. I think we're missing someone here.
Shit.
Who am I missing?
I think you're missing. Are we including ABA? Or no?
Are we talking Rick? Are we talking?
You're the
Rick
host.
Barry?
No, I'm talking to you, Ty, because this is a combined list.
Me? Oh
yeah.
shit. I mean, sure, that's kind of your thing. It's your area of expertise.
We're missing Dr. J.
Yes.
Even I'm not high on Dr. J because of the translation from the ABA to the NBA. However, I still think that if you include his ABA career, he's easily a top 25, could argue 25 to a top 10 player all time, just based off his ABA career. With his 4 MVPs, his, 4 titles? 3 titles?
Three ABA, and
Yep.
then 1 in the NBA. Yep.
The ABA peaks there. Like I said, I think I'm finding the right balance as of right now with the ABA guys and with them being the transition from the ABA to the NBA. That's what I'm trying to figure out and focus on. And I think 25's a fine spot with Dr. J.
Yeah, let's go with me.
Yep. Are we doing up to 30 today?
Yeah,
Is
we
that the
are.
plan? Perfect.
Adam, you get 26.
Well, I already said his name, but I'm gonna go with the round mound rebound, Charles Barkley.
Ty?
That works for me. Is that our first ringless player?
No, Karl Malone was.
Yeah, Karl Malone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, duh.
I agree with Barkley. This is actually where I have him all time. The peak of Barkley's really fucking good. For me, it's 1990, but I can understand the 93 argument as well. You go, Adam.
Yeah, Barkley. He's kind of the opposite of Malone. Much better rebounder, not a very good defender at all. mainly because his size and a lot of it is effort. But offensively, I would just rather have Barkley over Malone, especially in the postseason. Barkley has some of the greatest postseason performances we ever seen. Back-to-back years against the Chicago Bulls, where he's shooting. I think he's scoring like 25, averaging 12 rebounds, and while shooting like 60% while being a 6'4", 6'5" power forward, which is truly insane. And then 93 against the Sonics, arguably one of the three, probably one of the five greatest, probably Game 5 and Game 7 performances we've ever seen at conference finals. So, yeah, my hat goes to Barkley on this one.
I agree with that, Adam. He's definitely up there. I love Barkley's playoffs. Ty, 27.
I was thinking about David Robinson. I like him here.
Oh, I'm not sure about David Robinson
Alright.
myself. I love the peak of Robinson. My thing with Robinson though is the offensive translation in the playoffs. Up until Duncan, he just crumbles offensively. He's still great defensively, but what I'm seeing out of D-Rob is just not these great performances. Here I lean with Wade myself at 27. I think Wade's peak is it's not as great as D-Rob's, but he's really fucking great throughout. He's great in the playoffs. 06 rising really fucking high in those playoffs to get the championship. He's rising against multiple teams in the late 2000s. The only thing that goes against Wade would be the longevity argument. What about you, Adam?
I have Wade higher on my all-time list than Robinson. Not a lot, but I think the problem for both these guys is injuries derail their primes. However, I feel like Dwayne Wade, the peak is higher, the playoff translation is just better. Yeah, I'm gonna give it the edge to Dwayne Wade on this one.
Alright. And then my next one that I'm bringing up is going to be Chris Paul. Chris Paul in 2008, arguably robbed of an MVP. I think he deserved that MVP over Kobe myself. The people that say Chris Paul doesn't translate in the playoffs just are liars. What happens to Chris Paul is the injuries. That's what gets him. Because he's been multiple times a consistent player, and we've seen him be able to bring these teams that arguably shouldn't have been where they were in the playoffs to where they are. Every team up until 2021 or after 21 or up until 21 or no, up until 22, I mean, has been just bringing franchise records for regular season, giving them their franchise record in wins. He's floor raising everyone. Like I said, 2008, Peja Stojakovic should not be averaging what he's averaging in 08 at that point. David West is an all-star because of him. That's my whole thing with Chris Paul.
Yeah, I like it.
I can rock with it. Yeah, I'm probably one of the bigger Chris Paul fans out there. Um, I think his carry job in '08, carrying that team to 7 games with the Spurs, um, and then basically taking the Lakers in 2011. Um, the '08 roster is bad. The 2011
2011's
roster,
bad. That's
the 20, it's horrid.
horrid. Yep.
He's going up against the two-time defending champs with Aaron Gray, no David West, he's hurt,
Yep.
Carl Landry, Marco Bellinelli, and Jared Jack as his cohorts, and he pushes them to 6 games.
And that's pretty insane.
Yeah. And then we're not even going to bring up the Clippers because the Clippers were nothing, and then he
That's
gets it
all
in there.
injury. Yeah, that's legit injury stuff.
And then, of all the point guards of all time, he has one of the greatest longevity stretches ever. I mean, to go as a second option to get Houston to 65 wins and almost beat the Warriors, and then you go to the Suns, who didn't make the playoffs the year before, and you get to the finals and be the best player. I rock with that. So
Turn them into a 65 win team.
yeah, the franchise record.
Yep. Adam, you're on 29.
This one's a bit tricky. I'm probably a little bit higher than I should be on him because I don't like his translation in the postseason, but I can't ignore his offensive brilliance. I have James Harden right there. I think James Harden arguably could have won, let's say, another MVP, especially in 2015. So he could have been a two-time MVP. Much like Chris Paul, without the translation in the postseason, is carrying some pretty mid rosters. I like the 2017 Rockets, who are not even talked about getting into the postseason, and he's taken Ryan Anderson, Patrick Beverly to the second round, even though he does choke in Game 6. So I'm gonna give it to James Harden on this one.
Okay. Ty, do you have anyone?
I always prefer to have Russell Westbrook higher than James Harden. I think they both have playoff drops, obviously, but Russell Westbrook, he just made. I've said this before to Gunner. I feel like if Russell Westbrook only averages a triple double once that first season, he may be regarded as greater than the fact he did it multiple times and made it look so easy.
Yeah, my thing is, it's what the triple doubles are leading to is sort of the problem for me because he's never getting out of the first round, and at least James as a number one is getting to a conference finals. That I can say at least team success wise.
That's fair.
My thing is, I myself don't like to say Russell Westbrook's peak is that 2017 season. I say it's really his 2016 season where he's a number 2. And I'm already not high on number 2s. I'm not a fan of Russell Westbrook as a number 1. Also, people have lied about Russell Westbrook so much from just talking to people, to say that it's a carry job, but to say it's this full on carry job where when predictions have stated before the season, they were expected to be where they were. They were expected to be a 6 seed, expected to be a 7 seed or an 8 seed. However, that same season, in 2017, James Harden's expected to not make the playoffs at all and be a 10 seed. 10 or 11, if I remember correctly. And they turn out to be a 3rd seed. So that's part of my thing with Russell Westbrook. is that he's usually expected where he's supposed to be. Also, like the Thunder in 2018 and 2019, they're both disappointments. For where they should, what people were thinking of what they were going to be in the playoffs. Paul George and Russ both have meltdowns, and then when he goes to Houston, it's the one of the worst shooting seasons in NBA history. That I also think that Harden myself peaks higher than Russ does. So that's part of my whole thing with Russ. I know where you're coming from though, Ty. With the triple doubles, it just comes down to what it has led to for me, and that's where I agree with Adam. However, I'm a disagree with both of you. I got Bob Cousy here, but I'll concede and I'll give it to James Harden. Because
there's that Bostonian bias right there.
But I myself had Kuzi at 29. And then 30th, Ty, you have the floor with number 30.
Oh yeah, I got Bob Cousy at 30.
Do you?
Yep.
Damn.
I was thinking Gunnar talked me into it.
Adam, what about you?
I got Kuzi sort of lower on my list. He's in the like 35-ish range. I have Rick Barry right here. Rick Barry, when he gets in the league, immediate superstar. Takes the 67 Sixers, who are at that time the greatest team of all time, to 6 games in the finals while averaging, was it 40 a night?
Yep, it is 40.
And then he, of course, screws up his career, and then goes to the ABA, and then he comes back, and he carries the Warriors in '75 to a championship and just drags them. But if you want to put Kuzi there, because I can't defend him going to the ABA, like smack dab at your prime, and you just wasted a few years. So
he wastes 1 year without playing, with no playing. Because
yeah, he just doesn't play. It's like
he has a contract dispute with the Warriors, sits out a whole season, and then I
don't value the ABA as much as I do the NBA, so I can't, like, if you want to have Kuzi here, because like I can't defend that, like, so.
I mean, you could go against Kuzi. There is a way, because I just with talking to Jules, me and Jules disagree on Kuzi, and I understand the points. The points with Kuzi is being the number one offense in the 50s before Russell, not leading to anything really before Russell.
Yeah, with this, let me ask you a question. Him winning pretty much all of his chips as a number 2, does that go against sort of the thinking that you hold in regard to number 1s being a higher value than number 2s?
So I still have Kuzi as the number 1 in 57. I disagree.
Okay.
I understand. I understand Tony's thing, with Tony doing this, going back and doing this stat tracking for who the best player was in the year, for the Celtics at this time, which he said rookie Russell was the number 1 guy, which I understand. However, I think that there's a good argument that it's either Kuzi or Heinsohn for Finals MVP. And okay. I still think Kuzi's the number 1 guy on that championship team. So that's my whole thing with Kuzi. But that's that's our 10 for our all-time list today. We'll go into NBA history for today. Actually, we can go back a little bit because of Christmas games. We can do Christmas games. However, in 1946 today, the BAA is founded and plays its first game in Toronto. Also, the BAA merges with the NBL to become the NBA. Oh wait, maybe it's not. Hold on. Maybe I'm lying right now. My bad. I'm lying. However, we get a 20 assist Magic Johnson game in a loss to the 76ers in 83. And then
Four different Wilt Chamberlain 50-point games.
Yep. Hey, Adam, you're not gonna like this. You're gonna like this one.
Uh-oh.
Chris Webber scores 51 in a
Oh
loss
no, not that.
to your Indiana Pacers.
Oh no, not that one. That's disgusting.
And then we also have Pistol Pete's death at the age of 40 today. So, R.I.P. Pistol Pete. You know. But, I mean, the Wilt Chamberlain Christmas game, that's the 62 points in 62 against the Knicks, I believe.
I think so.
Or 61 Christmas game, but the 62 season, so but yeah. Is there anything else you guys would like to talk about today? I mean, Adam, you have the floor on your Pacers.
So much like all Indiana sports, besides the Indiana Hoosiers this year, we are a mess. We need to continue to tank. It's the only way to save ourselves. Basically, wait until Tyrese Halliburton comes back to see what he looks like with this core of players. And yeah, that's about it for this year. Just hoping that they get through this year without screwing up anything else.
It's okay, Adam. You guys will be screwed out of a number 1 pick yet again.
I will say this, though. If Tyrese was healthy, this team would be a huge contender to get to the finals again with this Eastern Conference.
I'm with that. What about you, Ty?
Wait, for me, just like stuff in general or related to Indiana Pacers?
No, just anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Before we wrap up.
Nothing really for me.
All right. This has been another episode of the Post Patrol podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next week, have a good one.